Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. We're now again live. It's our 9th episode, and we're very happy to talk today about a lot of things, starting from QuitGPT to David's recent paper on AI agents and what marketing companies are doing and mostly not doing. And we'll talk a bit more about things that are happening, best practices, and everything. And I want to just dig in and start with this QuitGPT wave, which was fascinating. I know we said no politics because Google.
We're going to keep the political part out of it.
I probably won't bet, but like Google was pretty vicious. The story with Claude and the Department of War was fascinating for me. I was following it a bit. At first I was not interested because, like, okay, supplier, not supplier, it's a marketing plan. But what I think is Anthropic made a decision here that it's worth for them to lose their biggest customer to win a lot smaller ones. And we've seen this in classic CRM problems in the past. I think the first time I heard about this was in Harras, the famous Harras, like the fact that there were mining data in the gold mine in the data, and finding like that smaller customers that are not contested might be better than going like after the whales that everyone's running after. And I think that Claude made a purposeful decision to lose the Department of War if they can brand themselves, as they already have, as a more ethical company, as a company that cares more, a company that they can trust, that will have the customer's interest in mind, though we have some studies showing that they really didn't. And at the end, like what OpenAI argues, that they agreed to the same terms that Anthropic wanted, but it seems like even losing this contract made Claude win a lot more customers. So let's talk about what happened a bit. Yeah.
So I'm not sure about this one, because definitely Claude won, or Anthropic won the PR battle.
Yes, certainly.
No question about it. But if some of what we've been hearing is that I had seen one story that OpenAI is saying we're going to retreat a little bit from the consumer AI and we're going to be more focused on enterprises.
It's funny because this was Anthropic's point from the start, and if you ask me, I don't think OpenAI has a point. They've been through everything, from adult content to imagery to videos to social media to shopping that they retreated, they will talk about later, to whatever. Like, this is like their pet project. And the answer is like, in 2008, when Jeff Bezos decided to open AWS. I hope they get the dates right. But Wired magazine called him an attention deficit disorder manager. Like, what are you doing? What's your next point? Spaceships? And it was funny because they did do that. But at least when Bezos does something, it has a purpose. And you can always see, and like there are cases on this, and like how everything ties together. It feels like OpenAI has some sort of ADHD problem that is not solved, that they're just going anywhere they can go to, and they now find out that there's money in enterprise. Let's go there.
Well, I don't dispute the ADHD from a business perspective, but the point that they make of saying we're going to focus on enterprise. You had shared with me a plot, a couple of weeks ago of who's actually paying for AI at the moment.
Yes.
Right? Like if you look at this from a consumer standpoint, well, a large chunk of people aren't using AI, which shocked me out of my little bubble. But
let me see if I can share it. Yeah.
The majority of people who are using AI aren't paying for it. You've got an incredibly tiny fraction of AI users who are actually paying for it. And so what's interesting about this is I wonder to what extent is Anthropic potentially painting itself into a corner, saying we're the more ethical company. So definitely I see that as a consumer play, but also we're not going to show you ads. Well, if that's the case, how are you monetizing the platform? Because most people aren't paying for the subscriptions.
So it's a great question. And if you think about Anthropic, I think they're more long-term.
Okay.
And they're spending a lot less money than everyone else because they don't, like, the heavy models that do the lifting and don't pay is like the visual ones. Video and images, and They don't do that.
Okay.
And yes, I just found this image. I want to paste it because Noah Epstein posted this image. This is what you're talking about. And like this, each square here is 3.2 million people. And this is how they use AI platforms. So most of the world, 84% of the world, has never used AI. But like for us, it's insane because like I hardly know anyone that doesn't even pay for AI. The rest, 16%, are using chatbots on the free level, and many of the students I have are using that. My parents are using that. Like my wife loves the Meta chatbot on WhatsApp. 0.3% pays for AI, the basic level, the $20 a month, and there is no ads here yet. And only a tiny fraction of 0.04%, which is an interesting number, we'll come back to that later, is using coding. And I have to say, frankly, I just like in the past month, I started using Cowork and Claude Code. I've been very impressed by Claude Code. I've been less impressed by Cowork. I've been using it more though. It's more expensive. And I think this is one of the things. Anthropic is making a lot of money from API and Claude Code tokens. There was a famous post that someone shared that they spent $50,000 a month on Claude Code. This is where they go to companies like they're spending. They're not using the $20 level. They're not even using the $200 level. They're paying for API access, for coding access, and for paper tokens, and it costs them money. I think Anthropic is very careful about their spending. Okay. And yeah, so if we go to the numbers, it's going to be very interesting because I think everyone's mentioning, and I don't have the data, and it changes so rapidly that Anthropic is going to be the first profitable company. And I think it's because they give a lot less for free than what others are doing. And if you look at the numbers, like one of the data points I've heard that OpenAI lost 1.5 million users in week 1.
Right. And those numbers, we've got to take that in context with what we just talked about, because most of those users aren't paying anything.
Yes.
So what did they actually
majority
lose?
So here's the question, and the question was like, how can I get data on this? So the problem, like most of the data sources, like SEMrush or SimilarWeb that I love a lot, and I mentioned in passing this channel, they release monthly data, and QuitGPT happened in February 28th. Okay. So it was almost impossible to get actual data on what happened. So I went to Google Trends, and Google Trends allows us to see what people are searching for. This is not like web access and like platforms that they use, but like, I said, okay, that's interesting. And this is the information of what happened the past month on web searches for the largest 4 models, like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and Gemini. And one thing that's clear here is the seasonality. We see seasonality. We see it constantly on OpenAI. On ChatGPT, we hardly see it in the other models. And one of the claims is this is the few users, mostly students that need OpenAI or ChatGPT. Yeah, for cheating and homework and doing that. This is like one of the biggest signals for that people don't use it in the weekends. Yeah. But this is when QuitGPT happened. And we see a decline. The decline is the weekend decline. It's not like
it looks like, and I wouldn't even go so far as to say it's a significant bump. There looks like there's a little bump for Claude.
Yes.
In the aftermath.
Yeah.
But they go right back down to baseline.
Yeah, it's shock. It's shock. Like if you ever analyze time models, you see those all the time. There are shocks in the system that it's hard to say if it's going to stay. I can see something, but like maybe I want to see it
right
post the event.
But even if you say there was new interest in Claude temporarily, there doesn't seem to have been a dent in ChatGPT.
Yes, but Claude's answer to this would be, well, we don't care about the free customers. Like enterprise,
answer, right? We're not generating revenue from these people. We're getting awareness.
Yeah, we're losing a lot of money on them.
Yeah, we're building awareness among this group, but the more of those that we have, we're just losing more money.
Yeah. So I think I'm very happy with Anthropic, and they're the most ethical out of them. Still, my claim is always that if ethics and profits clash, ethics wins 1% of the time, and profits wins 99% of the time, at least in the US. In Europe, it might be a bit better. But I think this is what we're seeing. OpenAI and ChatGPT, it's like the go-to name brand.
Yeah.
That's what people know. I gave a talk, it's fascinating, to an audience, like very educated people, but not AI open people. Like, when we were doing our AI literacy paper, we checked doctors, and we saw that doctors are like very literate people, very smart people, but they're not really good in AI generally. And let's say an audience like that, lawyers, doctors, and stuff like that, talking on AI. And I was talking about different AI models, and a couple people came to me after the talk and saying, what's that model thing that you mention all the time? They thought of like Chat and Claude and all those as gateway to the same AI model, that there's a single AI solution there, that everyone goes there. So if everything gives me the same outputs, let's just go to OpenAI, and like it's the easiest and give me all those things. And I think we're so far in AI literacy, it's becoming a real problem, because the proliferation of AI is growing and people don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, and also I had a guest speaker in my class yesterday, and he had shared a stat that AI literacy or AI fluency has gone from being a differentiator in the job market to being table stakes.
Yeah. Right.
Employers are now expecting that AI.
Yes.
Employers I'll go a step further, they're expecting that how to use it. I was teaching to our veterans program, and one of the guys in the program who works in a software development had said, he's like, when employers are looking at us, they know that we have AI, so their expectations for what we're able to do have been ratcheted up.
Yeah, and you wrote about this recently on LinkedIn, I think, right? That AI didn't solve anything. We're working harder.
Yeah, we offloaded easy stuff. Like, think about, what are the tasks that you trust AI to let you to do without you?
I'm not a good example. I'm a risk taker on AI, but as I told you, I almost lost my laptop to this. But
I would guess that most people are comfortable outsourcing the repetitive stuff, the things that they do time and time again. Well, but that's
improving slide decks, right? Improving slide decks, or updating content, or writing.
Or rewording things, right? Or help me rephrase an email. But that's relatively low effort stuff. So you're saving time on things that aren't mentally taxing, so that you can spend more time on things that are harder.
Yes, except for people that don't know, and I'm sure you've heard about those same things, that someone went to a CEO with wrong data because they were trusting AI. And we've heard those things on the legal fights, and we've seen like a paper now that had 38 fabricated citations because they trusted AI for the sources. So the people that know AI use AI carefully to improve their work efforts, and they can work like 3 times as before. The people that don't know AI are trying to catch up, and they're trying to do the same thing, but they don't know what they're doing.
But even those people who know what they're doing and can increase their productivity, they're not winning from this. Out faster.
Yeah, they're not winning. No one's winning. Well, the people that own
they're winning in the short term.
Yeah, no. NVIDIA is winning, and Perplexity is winning, and Claude is winning, and Apple is winning because of those self-contained Claude, and yes, but people are not winning, and we're tipping the scales again to a world where the power is less and less to normal people, and more to those who hold the resources. And again, let's not talk politics, but
But no, I think from an employer perspective, it may become a point of differentiation among employers of what are your expectations for employees. If you want them using AI, are you going to still say, okay, I want you in the office, I want a 40-hour work week from you? And maybe we need to rethink that.
Oh yeah. First of all, the first part of the sentence, there are 2 parts. Like, I want you in the office, and I want 40-hour work week from you. And because I want you in the office is a big question that's not truly AI dependent, but today people can access the office from anywhere. And I wanted 40-hour. Like, it goes back to retainers, right? I'm
Yeah.
paying lawyers per hour, and now they're using AI to solve this. And I know several law offices are dealing with how can we deal with the way we charge people when we're using AI to accelerate the process.
Right. We have to change the model, right? The notion that of a salaried worker using AI, you're not paying them by the hour. You're paying them to get a job done. You know, if it only takes them a fraction of the time to get the job done, what do you care? They're still getting the job done.
If the job is done, So
Right.
so
I mean, my
the problem
favorite
is
story on this is the Citigroup when they merged with Travelers Insurance, the logo design. And my computer is deciding it wants to be a little slow today. But while I try to pause something that's downloading, there's this famous story of this renowned graphic designer who was hired to do the new logo. And it's the umbrella with the little umbrella holder thing incorporated into the Citigroup logo. And she was having a lunch with the new CEO, and she drew it on a cocktail napkin. And I forget what the number was, but he was kind of pissed off because they're like, I paid this much money for a cocktail napkin. And she very calmly responded, no, you paid X dollar amount for the years of knowledge and experience that allowed me to draw it on a cocktail napkin in 5 minutes for you, right? If you're paying for a job, you've got to accept that you want the output. The process doesn't matter to you as long as you get the desired output. And the way we need to look at workers using AI is it's letting us get to that output faster and hopefully better.
So this is why you need AI literate employees that knows, first of all, when to use AI, which AI to use. We'll get there in a few moments.
But also AI literate employers.
Yeah, we've seen the data on this, right? And you wrote on this in HBR, and like others have wrote on, like, at this point, AI literacy is focusing on the lower levels of the company. And like even in tech companies, they want the 10x engineer that uses AI. They don't know what they're saying when this happens. And how many companies, after firing so many people, had to rehire people because they went after the buzz too much. And I think the stock market is not punishing those companies enough for being like careless with people's lives. But that's a whole different discussion. So let's just talk on the next point, like on switching costs.
Yeah, I think this was a brilliant move by Anthropic in terms of, especially given the PR around this Department of War thing, saying, let's make it easy for people who want to quit GPT.
Yeah, and how easy it is. Did you ever go to that window? Because
I did not check out this site, but I did see this.
So it's like, let's just see, how do I share? Let's just share so people can actually see what's the site is. Share. There you go. Share screen. So this is how it looks like. You go to the website on sharing, and what they have here, import what matters in under a minute. And all you have to do, step one, copy and paste this prompt. Just click on this, copy the prompt to your memory, go to your AI chatbot, and copy the results into the memory settings. So here are the memory settings. And
I will say I'm surprised they didn't even make it more explicit of kind of doing the entire experience of just log in to your OpenAI account and we will do the rest with a single click.
So here's the prompt. Here's my ChatGPT. I'm moving to another service and need to export my data. List every memory you've stored about me, as well as the context you've learned from me in the past conversation, and all this. Like some people have, let's not do extended thinking. Let's just do the standard model. And let's see what happens, because some people said it didn't share, and I thought it wouldn't be that easy, but let's see.
All right, so this is a thinking model, so it may take us a minute.
Yeah, so, and here it is. And it collects all this data, and like, let's see, and once I'm here, I just need to start importing it here and just pasting it.
Yeah, so they've made it
So
incredibly easy for that migration to happen.
yeah, and it pastes like all the memories that I have, and I can copy it here. And it's still working on OpenAI, but like it has date saved unavailable because those are general things it had.
Oh, we've lost a
Um,
screen share.
I know I didn't want to share
Okay.
some of those
Okay.
stuff, but like
But I mean,
it's
this is
again,
data portability. This is something I think the EU now requires from platforms. I believe data portability was part of GDPR, where if you want to get your life out of Facebook and move to another service, you don't really have a credible alternative. At least with AI providers currently, there are a couple of different options. So this isn't just specific move to Anthropic from OpenAI. This could be for moving to any platform.
yeah, and I believe that it'll be even easier to do. Because companies will force them to, like regulators will force them to, because companies
Yeah.
will usually try to avoid from churn. But it's
Yeah.
very easy to transfer today, and you saw it works. And I just have to paste that memory in the new platform, and that's it. And it's really fascinating. But one of the other things that it does, since you can share your memory across platforms, it means that you're not platform dependent anymore, right? You can go from one platform to the other based on the tools that you need for that experience. So you can go. I've been using all models. I've been testing them all the time, the different models. Usually I go to the strongest model I have access to, but I've been using Claude and Gemini. Gemini has actually been my go-to, my basic, because it's like faster.
Yeah.
But when I want
Especially
something,
for images, it's much faster than,
yes,
than
and
GPT.
yeah, oh, and much better as well. Images and video is Gemini, and
And you would put
images.
together the comparison for the portfolio
Oh yeah.
model.
So here's and I showed it on my LinkedIn too. But like this is my today list of where I go for what. And I've been using all of this. I have to say that I don't use Perplexity as much, and because I don't. The way I get my news and searches is through actually mostly through LinkedIn today. That their like news engine is amazingly well built for me, and I get most of the stuff I need there. And there are several also high specialized groups on Facebook that I go to that I'm very happy with. But for those things, writing is Claude easily. Slides and deck is Claude and Gamma. Claude will create the slides. Gamma will make them nicer. Coding, I've been doing it. Sonnet is cheaper, and I don't see the differences so much. But if you use co-work with Opus, you're going to finish your credits in minutes. Reasoning and research, like deep research, sending Gemini to work. And one of the reasons I do Gemini, because again, I don't want to be stuck in a single model. I want to transition from one model to the other. Many times I paste output from one and put in the other and say improve. One of my favorite things is let Gemini do the research and Claude do the research as well on its own, and then paste the Gemini output. And then Claude, here's what Gemini found out. Can you improve on what they found and create something that's better all over? Data analysis, I told you I played with Claude in Excel, which is very interesting. I haven't tried Claude in PowerPoint. I have it installed, but I'm not teaching now, so I didn't use that as much. But Claude makes amazing slides by itself. Image generation, we just talked about, Nano Banana. I haven't used Midjourney in ages, but it seems to be working. And if you need commercially, I would go to Firefly every day. So Firefly is Adobe's engine. It's commercially safe to use, and Adobe know what they're doing in that zone. Sorry. Video generation, Vero 3.1 is my go-to. My only thing is that I'm limited to 3 videos a day. I'm reaching that peak a lot. I'm using Claude Cowork to try to start creating images locally. But for that, you need a very strong graphics card that I don't have at this point. So if I need to, I won't go into lowers and everything, but that's it. So these are my go-to models. And as it said here, it's true as of today. And tomorrow a new model might come out and I might use that. And
do you think at some point we're just going to see a wrapper that pulls all of these services together and kind of
Oh,
you
we
can
do
either
that today.
tailor it yourself or it's automated of based on what you're asking for, it routes it to the appropriate model or models?
So we have it today on, like, I don't know, at least GW has access to Box. I don't know if you use it. And Box will let you use different AI models
Okay.
for different topics. But still, the choice is ours, and like to each
Yeah.
their preferences. Some people might disagree. A lot of people ask me about like why is OpenAI models are not here. This is nothing personal. I think that the OpenAI models have been lagging in this scene. I know that ChatGPT 5.4 Pro is amazing. It just costs $200 a month. And I cannot recommend to people like, oh, you need to pay $200 a month to use like the best model when the next best model is doing really great as a best practice solution. Yeah, if you can spend $200 a month, go spend everything. But yeah, at this point, I think those are the ones that I would use. Do you use anything else on those things?
No, like you, I don't use Perplexity that much. I actually don't use Claude nearly as much. I default to ChatGPT like many other people. And yeah, I've used both the deep research on ChatGPT as well as Gemini's research. I find them roughly equivalent to each other. I don't see a huge difference in performance there. I'm not a huge fan of, I haven't used Firefly in ages. When it first came out, it was crap. So I haven't.
Yeah, no, it's much better now.
Version.
I need to justify it because GW pays for my access, so I need to use it once in a while. But
I think from a graphics standpoint, Gemini is phenomenal. Though I did run into problems recently that I was asking it to generate images, and it wouldn't. It basically said, I don't have this functionality.
Yes. You know, once I had OpenAI saying it doesn't have internet connectivity.
So I don't know, and I find myself getting into an argument with the AI. I'm like, you just made an image for me. I need another
it's
one.
throttling. It's throttling. They want to save money, and they just like sometimes there's overcapacity, and like they cannot give it to you, so they're doing that. One thing I have to say, like OpenAI is like the agent search mode. It's really, really good. And one thing that's not here, and I use a lot, is Notebook LM. I cannot state because I haven't seen anything similar to Notebook LM. And we talked about it in the past. It's like if you're interested in a topic, if you're interested, like this is something I need to go in deeply, go for that. Yes. So I want to move a bit to the shopping part because
I see that we're a little short on time. So let's talk about what's going on here, because there was a big push from OpenAI, and I was a big fan of this idea actually because the idea of being able to go through your entire purchase funnel without ever leaving the app seems very natural to me.
I know, and we're doing a study now on that thing. Like I told you about our shopping cart abandonment paper, where we analyze why people abandon the shopping cart. So we're looking into this now, actually, because what they found out, at least on Walmart data, that when you came, because you didn't leave the you didn't leave ChatGPT. They created the basket there, and you could buy from there. And when you did that, the churn was 3 times higher than when you were on Walmart's website.
I believe
which is insane. So it's something different, and we believe it's something in the customer journey.
I can tell you, I've recently gotten into making pens, so turning the wood and making pens. And so when new hobby, need to learn about it. What equipment do I need? Go into ChatGPT, and it gives me the list of everything that I need with links.
Yes.
Where can I buy this stuff? Well, as soon as I click one of those links, I'm taken over to Amazon when I'm presented with 20 other options. And I go down the rabbit hole of, this is what was recommended to me, but now I've got all these other choices, as opposed to if I were able to complete the task entirely within the AI, I would never have gone down that search process.
So it's amazing how you break the mindset of a customer. And that's something we're doing research on now. This is all related, but I can give you a simple example. When you go on a website and you go shopping in your shopping cart and you see a coupon box, like put your coupon here, and you don't have a coupon,
you're going to go look for it.
What does that mean? You were in the freaking shopping cart and you left that. I cannot say how many times it increases the likelihood of churn.
Absolutely.
Because either you're going to look for that, or you're going to be upset that someone else got a discount, and you're not getting it. And like companies said, what the hell? Should I take the coupon box out from our pages? Everyone does that. Well, you know what company doesn't do it? Apple. Because apart from being price sensitive, not price sensitive, but like it breaks the mindset of the consumer. And like these companies don't think about those things. They don't think about shoppers. They think about options. And they believe that the more options you get, the better it would be. And we go to the paradox of choice. And like, again, not the topic of this podcast, but like we're seeing that, maybe they should hire like a consumer behavior or behavioral economists to be like resident in those companies doing something smarter.
So, we look at, this is what ChatGPT had promised, right?
Yes.
I'm here, I can do everything here. Do your research, do your
And I wanted that, and you wanted that.
I thought this made perfect sense to me. Well, I personally love the graphic, Gil, that you shared on LinkedIn of the OpenAI graveyard, but they've kind of pulled up shop and gone home in this regard. And
because it's like all their products.
We're running a little bit over, but why did this fail? And I don't think it was a fail. I don't think it failed because consumers didn't want it. I think this failed because they didn't have the partners. I don't think other businesses wanted this.
Try to put the graveyard in. Never mind. So other businesses didn't want it.
Because if I'm Walmart, I want your data.
Yes. So this goes back to this.
If I'm Amazon, I want the data on that person. If I'm Nike, I want the data on that person, which means I need you on my platform.
Why all of these platforms has their pay options, right? You have Apple Pay, you have Amazon Pay, you have Google Pay. All those things are there because we need the actual money. And like compared to those companies, OpenAI is a small bot in a huge, huge world that they don't want to give it access to.
So,
and
I
just want to one more point.
I wouldn't say that this idea is dead, but I don't think I think it was too premature.
I think the one that could have done it really well is Amazon, but their AI platform is crap at this point.
We might see it come from Google. We might. Of the major providers, that's the one that I think might be able to do it.
They already have their shopping platform. And if you look at like eBay, you look at Best Buy, you look at Amazon, it's third-party sellers anyway. So what does Google mind like having their own third-party sellers? Everyone's talking about like the shopping on AI, and like e-commerce sales via AI platforms was $5.4 billion, which sounds a lot until you see that 0.4% of the entire e-commerce world. It's like, it's an edge. And I've seen like similar web data showing like how many people move from like no one goes and actually buys. Like people research there, they get the decision, and then they go to the website, get their decision and continue. They have some like underlying information they have, but this is not what they did. David, I want to talk about your paper. Do you think we have a bit of time about this?
We'll save this for next time. We'll go through this.
I think it makes sense.
We'll go through it next time, because I do want to spend some time kind of talking about it, where just to kind of tease where we're going is so OpenAI abandons the instant checkout, but it doesn't mean that there isn't this link from how do I go from chatbot to commerce? What should brands be doing in this regard? So we'll tee up that conversation next time, we'll kick it off by diving deep into this recent HBR.
I think it deserved a bit more time.
We'll dive into this HBR that Oguz Akar and I had written about. What should brands be thinking about as they try to navigate this space, and is it always in their best interest, right? Like, do they necessarily need to go down this path?
Do you think Oguz would like to join us as a guest speaker next time?
It's not a bad idea. We'll reach out and see if we can get him as far as timing. So those of you that stuck with us, I know we're a little bit over, but thank you for tuning in. And we're going to try to stick back to our regular scheduling rather than taking the protracted breaks that we did during this semester. So we'll see everyone in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care.